Tonight, let the day loosen its grip on you. Let the screens dim. Let the last thought set itself gently on a shelf, like a cup set down. If you can, settle a little deeper. Feel the weight of your shoulders melt down your back. Let your jaw unclench. Let your tongue rest behind your teeth. And with your next breath, imagine you are stepping into a slow fog, soft as cotton, like night air. We are going to wander back through the mists of time, not with urgency, not with the sharpness of a documentary, but the way you might drift through a familiar neighborhood at night, recognizing shapes, sensing warmth, letting the story come to you at its own pace. Somewhere in that fog, there is a footprint, not yours, not mine, a footprint that was pressed into warm mud long before human worry existed, before calendars, before busy highways and email notifications. A footprint left by a life that moved through a world of rivers and whispering forests, then vanished as quietly as breath on glass. It's strange, isn't it, how a single print can feel like a handshake across millions of years, a gentle tap on the shoulder from the deep past, as if the earth itself is saying, I remember. Tonight's story begins with that kind of memory, a small, patient impression in stone, a message you don't have to analyze. You only have to look at it softly and let it slow you down. And if your eyes close at any point, that's perfectly okay. The story will keep drifting, like mist moving through trees. You are safe here. Here, no one rests alone. Every story is a soft lantern in the dark. This is a quiet corner of the night, and you are allowed to rest. Before we drift deeper into tonight's gentle journey, remember to subscribe to Sleepy Insight channel. Here, you'll always find peaceful stories that soothe the heart and quiet the mind. Where are you listening from tonight? Leave a comment. Your presence adds warmth to this quiet corner of the night. If tonight awakens a gentle memory, you can share it below quietly. When was the last time you looked up at the night sky and felt at peace? Now, let's begin. The room is dim, but warm. Not the warmth of summer sun, more like the hush of a lamp in a quiet study. Somewhere nearby, a clock might be ticking. Or maybe that's only your own heartbeat, steady and loyal, reminding you that you are here. In this place, the air smells faintly of old paper and polished wood, a museum after hours, or a collection room that most visitors never see, the kind of space where time doesn't shout, it whispers. A single display table waits under soft light. On it rests a slab of stone. At first glance, it could be just another piece of earth, gray, ordinary, patient. But as you lean closer, a shape becomes clear. 3 toes, a gentle curve, a hollow where weight once pressed down. A footprint, preserved with such care that even the edges seem tender. You might expect something like this to feel frightening, an echo of predators and roaring mouths. But the footprint doesn't roar, it simply exists. It's quiet evidence that something once walked here. The way you walk through your own days, there is a calm in that. A reminder that life, even when enormous, can be gentle in the way it leaves its marks. If you imagine the moment this print was made, you can almost feel it. The ground wasn't stone then. It was soft mud, warmed by a humid day. Maybe it was near a riverbank, where the water moved slowly, thick with silt. Maybe a thin mist hovered over the surface, lifting and settling like a sleepy animal. A dinosaur, yes, a dinosaur stepped forward. Not as a monster, not as a movie exaggeration, simply as an animal. moving through its own ordinary life. And then, somehow, the mud held its shape. It dried, it hardened. Layers of earth covered it, pressing it down, protecting it, for longer than any human story has ever lasted. Deep time is difficult for our minds. We are built to measure minutes, to count days, to remember the last 10 years as if they were a long road. But the age of dinosaurs stretches so wide that it becomes more like an ocean, a slow, dark blue ocean that holds entire worlds beneath its surface. And yet, here is a footprint, a small shoreline where that ocean touches you. If you've been carrying worries today, let them float for a moment. Imagine setting them beside the stone, the way you might set down a heavy bag at the door. You can pick them up later if you need to, but for now, you don't have to. The footprint asks nothing from you. It only offers perspective. There's a label beside the stone, written in careful letters. It doesn't overwhelm you with numbers. It simply suggests this is older than anything we call ancient, older than pyramids, older than myths, older than the first fire tended by human hands. And still, it feels strangely familiar because the shape is a rhythm, step, pause, step, a pattern you know in your bones. Somewhere outside the museum walls, the present world continues. Cars move along roads, phones glow, people make plans for tomorrow. But in this room, the present feels softer, as if the past has laid a quiet hand over the noise. You take a slow breath, in, out. The air seems to widen. In the same cabinet where the footprint rests, there are other objects. Not loud, not dramatic, just small pieces of Earth's memory. A spiral shell turned to stone, a fern imprint, delicate as lace, a shard of amber, honey gold, holding a tiny world inside, maybe a fleck of plant, maybe a thread of feather, so fine it looks like a whisper trapped in sunlight. Amber is one of the gentlest kinds of miracles. Resin that once ran down a tree's bark, sticky and warm, catching whatever brushed too close. A drifting insect, a grain of pollen, sometimes rarely a feather. When you hold amber to the light, it doesn't feel like a rock. It feels like time folded carefully in half, saved like a pressed flower between pages. And it's impossible not to think, somewhere, a forest once stood where this resin flowed. A forest that no longer exists, but whose glow still survives in your hands. The deeper you look, the less the ancient world feels distant. It becomes intimate. Not because it was the same as today. It wasn't. The continents were arranged differently. The climates moved in slow, vast swings. Places that are frozen now were once green. Places that are deserts now once held rivers. But life itself, life in its quiet habits, was familiar. Creatures ate. Creatures slept. Creatures cared for their young. They moved in groups. They listened for one another. In the museum's hush, you begin to realize something soft and surprising. The age of dinosaurs wasn't one single scene. It was many scenes. 1,000 kinds of lives across 160 million years. Small dinosaurs, no bigger than a chicken, darting through undergrowth. Giant, long-necked herbivores, moving like slow, walking hills. Feathered creatures with colors that might have shimmered like hummingbirds. And in the air above them, perhaps other flyers, pterosaurs, riding warm currents like living kites. This world was not just teeth and claws. It was also nests. It was soft earth. It was rain that came and went. It was moonlight on water, and it was sound, not the sharp sound of danger, but the low sound of distance. Some dinosaurs may have communicated with deep, resonant calls, notes so low you'd feel them more than hear them, like the faint vibration of thunder far beyond the horizon. A reminder that even in prehistory, life might have spoken in lullaby tones. You can imagine it now. A wide floodplain at dusk. The sky is painted in muted violet and pale gold. A mist rises where the day's heat meets the cooling air. A herd of animals moves slowly, the way clouds move, and somewhere among them, a low, steady hum travels through the ground, comforting, connective, like a mother calling her young. If you listen carefully in your own room, you may notice a similar kind of quiet, the hum of a distant air conditioner, a far-off car passing like a wave, the small sounds that tell you the world is still turning, even as you rest. And now, another soft discovery, one that often makes people smile. Dinosaurs are not entirely gone. Every bird you have ever seen is part of their story. The sparrow that hops near a sidewalk, the crow that watches from a wire, the cardinal flashing red in a winter tree, the pigeon on a city ledge, looking unbothered by human life. They are not just like dinosaurs. They are, in a biological sense, living descendants of a dinosaur lineage that learned to survive by becoming small, light, and winged. If you've had a long day, consider how gentle that is. A world that once thundered with giants did not end with silence. It changed shape. It narrowed into feathers and flight. It continued quietly outside your window. And maybe that's one of the kindest lessons deep time offers. Endings are not always endings. Sometimes they are transformations. A turning of the page so slow you barely feel it until you look back and realize how far you've drifted. The museum's light glows softly on the stone. The footprint waits, unhurried. You step back from the table and let your eyes wander to a map on the wall. It shows the Earth, not as we know it, but as it once was. The continents arranged like different pieces of the same puzzle. One place on the map is marked with a small, pale circle, Antarctica. Not the white, wind-swept continent you picture today, but a version of Antarctica that was once green forested, alive with rivers, a land that endured long summer days and long winter nights, yet still held life in its quiet arms. Next to the map is a photograph of fossilized wood, dark and smooth, and beneath it, a note that feels like an invitation. Tracks were found here too, footprints, in stone, waiting. You feel, gently, that the story wants to move, not fast, just forward, like a slow step in warm mud. So tonight, we will follow that pale circle on the map. We will walk softly into a forest that no longer exists, and we will listen for the quiet ways it still speaks. There is a particular kind of quiet that arrives when you look at a map for a long time, a gentle quiet of realizing the world has had many versions of itself. The pale circle around Antarctica stays in your mind like a small moon. It glows softly on the wall of the museum, and yet it feels as if it is glowing somewhere behind your ribs too, calling you without urgency toward a place you have never been. So, for a moment, let the museum fade. Let the glass cases and labels blur into a warm haze, and imagine that you are stepping through a doorway made of mist into a night that is older than all our names. Breathe in slowly. Let your eyelids grow heavier. Slowly. As you breathe out, picture the air turning cooler, cleaner, and slightly damp, as if you were near a river that has been running for 1,000,000 years. The ground under your feet is not ice, not yet. It is dark soil, springy with moss, soft with fallen leaves. And somewhere beneath that softness, in layers that will one day become stone, the earth is preparing its memories. This is Antarctica. Long ago when it wore green instead of white. The sky above you is wide and low light, like velvet. Stars are present, but they do not glitter sharply. They feel blurred by thin clouds and drifting moisture, as if the heavens are breathing too. You can smell the forest before you see it clearly. A sweet, resinous scent, the faint, clean perfume of fern fronds after rain. Tall trees rise in the dimness, ancient relatives of what we might call pines and araucarias. Their silhouettes like slow cathedral pillars. Between them, cycads spread thick crowns of leaves, and ferns unfurl in wide green fans, each frond, catching droplets that tremble and fall, with the tenderness of a lullaby. Everything is moving, but nothing is hurried. Fog slides between trunks. A thin veil of mist drifts across the forest floor and then dissolves. If your mind tries to picture Antarctica only as ice, let that picture soften. Tonight, let it be a different kind of Antarctica. A quiet southern forest under a long, dim season where even the darkness feels warm at the edges. You are not alone here, but the presence around you is calm, not stalking, not chasing, just living. Somewhere deeper in the trees, a large shape shifts with the slow confidence of a hill. You do not need to see it clearly to understand it. You simply feel it, the way you feel a distant train moving through the earth. A low vibration, gentle and steady, like a bass note held for a long time. The animal that makes that note is not a monster. It is a creature in its own ordinary night. It has walked these paths before. It knows where the ground is firm, where the mud is deep, where the river bends and the ferns grow thick. And on this night, it is walking again. Not far from you, the river appears dark as ink, smooth as glass. Moonlight, faint and cool, lies on the surface in pale ribbons. The water carries silt and tiny bits of leaf and the slow drift of pollen. It is a moving mirror that does not insist on being understood. If you listen closely, you can hear the river making a soft sound at the bank. Not a crash, just a hush. A repeated shh, shh, as it brushes the shore. Like the ocean, but smaller and more intimate. You take a step, and your foot sinks slightly. The mud is warm compared to the air. It yields without complaint. And as you lift your foot, it leaves a shallow print behind. In the dimness, you can almost imagine how easily history is made. A moment of weight, a moment of softness, a shape impressed into the world, then left to dry. Somewhere behind you, the forest gives a tiny sigh. A branch settles. A distant call echoes low and rounded, more felt than heard. Perhaps it is communication. Perhaps it is simply breath. Either way, it is part of the night's steady music. Now, follow the riverbank with your eyes. There, in a sheltered patch of ground, is a nest. At first, it is only a curve in the earth, a shallow bowl, lined with softened plant fibers. But then you notice the smooth shapes inside it. Eggs, pale and matte, resting like stones warmed by the day. The sight is unexpectedly tender. The world of giants contains, quietly, the world of fragility. A life that can tower like a tree still begins in something no bigger than your hands. If you have ever watched someone sleeping, child, partner, friend, even a pet, you know this feeling. The way softness asks for protection, the way quiet becomes sacred. And here, under the southern trees, the eggs wait. They do not know what they will become. They only know warmth and stillness and the faint rhythm of the forest around them. A shadow passes over the nest, not sharp, not threatening, just a broad presence, careful with its steps. A dinosaur parent. It lowers itself slowly, as if lowering a heavy thought into calm water. The earth accepts its weight. Leaves compress. Mud breathes. The parent settles near the nest, not crushing, not careless, simply close. If you listen, you might hear a low, soothing vibration in its chest. Not a roar, more like a purr translated into something ancient and large. A sound that could travel through the ground to the eggs, telling them, without words, that they are not alone. In that moment, the forest feels like a living home. And perhaps your own room can feel that way too. As you lie there, with the night around you, remember, you are held by quiet things, by air, by gravity, by the steady kindness of the world continuing. Let your shoulders soften again. Let your breathing become a little slower. In and out. The camera of your imagination drifts upward through the trees. You see the canopy, dark green and thick, moving gently in the night breeze. You see the sky beyond it, with clouds sliding slowly, like boats in a dark sea. This is the kind of scene that doesn't demand attention. It invites it, softly. It says, you may watch, or you may drift, either way is fine. And now, a small detail glows in your mind like a lantern, the length of the night. In this ancient Antarctica, seasons have their own strange poetry. Summer can bring long days, where the sun lingers. Winter can bring long nights, where darkness stretches patiently. Life adapts, not with drama, but with rhythm. Plants learn to wait. Animals learn to move when the light is gentle. The world learns to breathe in longer phrases. If you have been living in short phrases, quick messages, quick errands, quick decisions, let this be a lesson you don't have to study. Just feel it. A longer night does not mean danger. It can mean rest. Farther along the river, the ground becomes firmer. You see patches of sand and smooth stones, and in one soft stretch of mud, something catches the moonlight at an angle. Tracks, not one, many. A line of footprints crossing the bank, as if a group passed here together. Some prints are larger, deeper. Some are smaller, lighter. A quiet family story, written into wet earth. You don't need to count them. You don't need to name the species. All you need to feel is the gentleness of the pattern. Life moving in company. Life leaving evidence of connection. The river will rise someday. Rain will come. Silt will cover these marks. Time will layer itself over them like blankets. And far, far in the future, a human hand will brush away dust and stare in wonder, as if hearing a voice through stone. The thought is calming, because it suggests that wonder is part of being alive, and that the world has always been making small invitations like this. You walk a little farther, and you find a fallen log. Its surface is slick with moisture. Tiny insects move along it like slow beads of light. Above the log, a drop of resin glistens at the edge of a tree's bark. It is golden, even in low light, a small tear of the forest. The resin thickens, then releases. It slides down the bark in a patient line, and as it moves, it catches a floating thread, something soft, a feather. Not a modern feather with crisp edges and bright certainty, but a prehistoric softness, fine as dust. It clings to the resin, and for a moment it looks like time itself has decided to pause. This is how the gentle miracles happen, not with thunder, with stickiness and chance, with a tree simply being a tree, with a feather drifting at exactly the right moment. In your mind, the scene slows further, the resin hardens, the feather is held. The night passes, then many nights pass, then 1,000,000 nights, and the forest, eventually, will change. The continents will wander, the climate will cool, ice will arrive, but not as a sudden violence, more like a long exhale, slowly turning the green world into white silence. Still, the feather will remain, the tracks will remain, the river's old silt will remain, hidden, protected, waiting. And here is the soft twist, the warm discovery that follows you back into your own life. When you hear a bird outside your window, when you see it shake rain from its wings, when it hops once, twice, leaving tiny prints on a ledge, you are seeing the continuation of this forest night story. Not a copy, a continuation, a living thread from deep time, stitched into the present with feathers and breath. So if you have been feeling disconnected, too busy, too tired, too far from yourself, let this thought rest beside you. The world is full of continuations, gentle ones, quiet ones, right outside your window. Now, the fog thickens again, the canopy blurs, the river becomes a ribbon of darkness, and in the distance, as if in response to your presence, a low sound returns. A soft, resonant note, felt more than heard, like the earth humming itself towards sleep. In a moment, we will follow that hum deeper, toward the creatures who moved like gardeners through their world, and toward the slow, shimmering truth that the past is not gone. It is simply softened by time. The fog that held the green Antarctic forest begins to loosen, as if the night is gently lifting a curtain, not quickly, not all at once, just enough to let you see farther than the riverbank, farther than the nest, farther than the resin drop that caught a feather like a secret. In your mind, the camera drifts back, higher, wider. The forest becomes a textured quilt of dark greens and soft shadows. Rivers braid through it in slow, shining threads. And beyond the trees, beyond the hills, there is a horizon that feels unusually spacious, as if the earth itself is breathing in long sentences. If your day has been crowded with small, sharp thoughts, let this wide horizon smooth them. You don't have to hold anything tightly tonight. Take one slow breath in, as if you're smelling rain on leaves. Pause for a beat, then let it go, longer than you expect. Notice how the exhale invites your muscles to soften. That softness is your doorway tonight. Now, you can simply watch, as time moves the way clouds move, patient, unbothered, steady. In this era, the world is not arranged the way you know it. The continents are travelers. They drift, not like ships with urgent destinations, but like great sleeping animals shifting in their rest. Over millions of years, they slide a few inches at a time, quietly rearranging the map. A forest that begins in one latitude might, over deep time, end up elsewhere, carried like a slow raft beneath the stars. It's a comforting thought, in its own strange way. Even the ground beneath us has never been fixed. Even the things we call solid are part of a gentle motion. And if the earth can move without panic, maybe you can too. Maybe change does not always have to feel like a storm. Sometimes it can be a slow turn, a softened path. Tonight, you can picture that motion as a slow dance under the planet's skin. Two vast plates sliding past one another, with no sound you could hear, only a pressure the earth understands. A ridge rising at the bottom of an ancient sea. A shoreline lifting, millimeter by millimeter, like a sigh. The changes are so quiet that no creature notices them in a single lifetime. Yet, over enough lifetimes, they become new coastlines, new mountain shadows, new winds. And above this moving earth, the sky keeps its own gentle rituals. Clouds drift like pale wool. Stars wheel so slowly they seem still. In polar nights, faint curtains of light can sometimes wander across the darkness. Soft auroras, thin and greenish, like breath made visible. They do not crackle, they do not shout. They simply shimmer, reminding you that even the sky has moods, and none of them need your effort. If you're still awake enough to notice your body, let that thought settle into you. Your own life moves in small increments too. A single conversation, a single walk, a single quiet decision. Tiny shifts that, over time, become a new landscape inside you. Now, as the camera lowers again, you notice movement through the trees. A procession, quiet and unhurried. Large bodies pass between trunks with the calmness of weather. They are not hunting, they are not fleeing, they are simply walking. Some are so big that their backs rise above the undergrowth like rolling hills. Others are smaller, quick enough to slip through ferns without breaking them. And as they move, they do something quietly extraordinary. They shape the world. Where their feet press, the soil compacts. Where their bodies brush past, leaves bend and spring back. Where they pause to feed, they open a little window in the forest canopy, letting moonlight leak through. You can think of them as gardeners, if you like. Not gardeners with plans and fences and tidy rows, but gardeners in the way wind and water are gardeners, by moving through a place and leaving it slightly different, slightly renewed. They nibble at certain plants and ignore others, not out of cruelty, but instinct. They trample some paths into being, and those paths become gentle corridors where other creatures can move. They carry seeds in their bellies and release them later, far from the parent tree, scattering life like an unintentional blessing. In a world without human hands, their bodies are part of the system of growth. Tonight, let this idea soften the old picture you may carry of dinosaurs. Not as monsters, not as loud symbols of danger, but as participants in an ecosystem, as ordinary as deer in a moonlit field, as steady as elephants at dusk. Somewhere nearby, you hear a sound that could be the forest settling. A branch creaks. A leaf drops into water with a tiny plip, and beneath it all, a low resonance hums felt like a distant drum. Some of the sounds in this world live below the edge of hearing, a call too low to be a note, more like a rolling vibration. In modern animals, elephants speak this way across long distances, sending messages through the ground. In the deep past, it may have been similar communication carried as a gentle tremor, traveling through roots, through mud, through water. If you imagine standing barefoot on that damp soil, you might feel it in your ankles first, then in your knees, then in your ribs. Not fear, just presence. A reminder that life was connected, even then, by invisible threads. If you place a hand lightly on your chest, you may notice your own resonance, your heartbeat, your private, faithful rhythm. It is not so different from the rhythms that held this ancient world together. The herd reaches a clearing. Moonlight spills across damp ground. Mist gathers at ankle height, swirling around their legs like pale smoke. And for a moment, the scene feels almost sacred. Not because anything dramatic happens, but because nothing needs to. In the clearing, a few juveniles linger close to larger bodies. They move with a little more uncertainty, testing the earth, copying the way the adults step. Their smaller footprints overlap the larger ones, layered like a family signature written into mud. If you've ever walked beside someone you love, matching their pace without thinking, you know this feeling. The quiet comfort of moving together, the sense of safety in a shared rhythm. Across the clearing, the ground dips into a shallow basin where rainwater has collected. The surface is still, holding a dim reflection of the sky. When one of the animals steps near, the water trembles. Ripples expand outward in perfect circles, like slow breathing. And here is a gentle thought to carry. Ripples do not hurry. They spread and they fade, and they make room for the next. If your mind has been rippling with worries, you can let them spread out and soften too. You don't have to force them away. You can simply let them become wider, quieter, less urgent. The herd continues. Their movement is a kind of lullaby. Step, pause, step. A slow procession through an ancient night. As they walk, notice their bodies not as threats, but as architecture. Some have long necks that curve like cranes over the fern canopy. Some have tails that sweep gently, balancing them with quiet grace. Their skin may not be the dull gray we once imagined. Science, in the soft way it surprises us, has suggested something else. In certain fossils, tiny structures have been found, melanosomes, microscopic bodies that, in modern birds, relate to color and sheen. They are like little archives of light. And when researchers compare their shapes to those in living feathers, a picture emerges that feels almost like poetry. Some dinosaurs may have carried colors, not bright in a jarring way, but rich in a natural way: deep chestnut, smoky charcoal, muted rust, soft ivory. Some may have shimmered with an iridescence like a hummingbird's throat, catching moonlight and turning it into a quiet glow. Not for spectacle, but for life, for camouflage in dappled forests, for recognition in low light, for the subtle language of belonging. Imagine it now, in this clearing, a feathered crest shifting as the animal turns its head, a faint green-blue sheen sliding across it as mist moves and moonlight changes angle, a beauty so gentle you might miss it if you blink. And perhaps that's part of the lesson. Some of the most astonishing things are not loud. They are quiet, and they require softness to notice. The camera drifts lower again, to the ground, to mud, to the humble place where all these grand bodies meet the earth. Footprints appear everywhere, some deep, some light, some half filled with water. They form a map that only the ground can read. A record of who passed here, how fast they walked, where they paused. A diary written in pressure and patience. And here is your soft bridge, the one we will cross tonight. Each footprint is a doorway, a small, ordinary shape that connects two impossibly distant moments, then and now. Millions of years folded into a single impression. You can feel it if you let yourself. The way a footprint says, something was here. It moved. It lived. It belonged to the world, and the world, in its slow kindness, kept the evidence. If you are listening from a busy city, perhaps with sirens far away, or neighbors moving in another room, let the idea of footprints comfort you. You do not have to make a loud mark on the world to matter. Sometimes, simply moving through a day with gentleness is enough. Sometimes, your smallest quiet acts are the ones that last. The clearing begins to fade behind the herd. Mist thickens again. The river's hush returns. And as the animals disappear into the darker forest, the scene softens, like a memory settling into the mind right before sleep. But one detail remains bright. A single footprint near the water's edge, filled with moonlight. It looks like a bowl of pale silver, a little pool held in stone to be waiting. And somewhere in that silver, the story is preparing its next quiet turn. Because not every footprint becomes a fossil. Most disappear. Most are washed away. And yet, a few are chosen by chance and chemistry to last. In the next part, we will follow one of those chosen prints. We will let it carry us into the gentle magic of preservation, into amber, into stone, into the way time saves what it can, and we will discover, softly, that the past is not only behind us, it is around us, in feathers, in rivers, in the hush that arrives when you breathe out and finally let the night hold you. The footprint by the river holds moonlight, the way a shallow bowl holds water, silver pooled in a shape that once belonged to a living step. If you stare at it long enough, the world seems to slow around it. Mist stops rushing, leaves stop arguing with the wind. Even your thoughts begin to move more softly, as if they're walking barefoot. In the museum, that same footprint lies under glass, quiet and patient. But tonight, we are still in the ancient forest, where the print is fresh enough to shimmer and the mud is warm enough to remember. There is a gentle truth about footprints. Most of them vanish. Rain softens the edges. Wind dries the surface and cracks it. A river rises a little and washes the shape away, like a hand smoothing a blanket. The earth is not sentimental. It is simply alive, and life keeps moving. And yet, sometimes, in rare and tender moments, the earth chooses to keep one. Not by decision, but by circumstance. A perfect alignment of softness and stillness. A quiet ceiling. A slow, mineral embrace. Imagine the river that night. It shifts its course slightly after heavy rain. New silt drifts in, fine as flour, settling gently into the footprint, layer after layer, like someone sprinkling thyme over the ground. The print fills, not abruptly, but gradually, as if the planet is tucking it in. Then the surface dries. Another season comes, another. Plants grow, die, and become part of the soil. The weight of the world presses down with a steady kindness, and the mud, deep beneath, begins to change. Over long, long years, water moves through pores in the earth. It carries tiny dissolved minerals, calcium, silica, iron, like quiet travelers. They seep into the spaces between grains. They harden. They knit the looseness into something firm. The footprint becomes a memory you can touch. Fossilization is not a sudden magic trick. It is slow devotion, a patience so vast that our minds can only feel it as calm. If you've ever watched tea steep, you know the small version of this. Water and time doing their gentle work, flavor deepening, edges softening, nothing forced, everything becoming. Now, let the camera drift from the footprint to the trees again. One trunk is scarred with old resin trails, glossy even in low light. The air smells sweet, like pine and rain. A branch above you shifts, and a tiny feather loosens from somewhere high in the canopy. It floats down slowly, as if it remembers how to be light. Feathers, in this world, are not only for flight. Some are for warmth. Some are for display, catching moonlight and turning it into soft color. Some are simply the texture of evolution experimenting. The earth, trying new fabrics for life. The feather drifts, turns once, and lands on the sticky line of resin. It clings there without struggle, as if it has found its place. The resin holds it the way a warm hand holds a thread. It thickens, it settles, and then, gently, it hardens. Amber is one of time's most tender containers. Not cold stone, but honeyed light. Resin that once protected a tree from injury becomes, by chance, a small capsule that protects a moment from disappearing. Picture it. The forest fades, the climate shifts, the continents wander, ice arrives slowly, like a long exhale. But under layers of sediment, the amber rests, still carrying its feather, still glowing faintly in the dark, like a lantern left burning in a closed room. Much later, so much later, the amber is found. A human hand lifts it, warms it, holds it up to a lamp, and inside, the feather is still there, fine and soft, a whisper sealed in gold. This is one of the soft discoveries science has offered in recent decades. Dinosaurs were not only scaled silhouettes, many were feathered, at least in part. Some wore downy coats like birds, some carried filament-like coverings, like gentle fur made of feather threads. The ancient world, it turns out, may have been softer than we once imagined. And doesn't that feel like a kindness? To discover that even giants could be wrapped in something warm. If you are listening with tired eyes, let this idea sink in. Softness has always belonged to life, not as weakness, as wisdom, as insulation, as comfort. The museum room returns to you now, just for a moment. Not fully, but like a memory of warm light. You see a drawer pulled open in a research lab. Inside, small fossils lie in foam. A claw, a tooth, a fragment of bone, and a few impressions so delicate they look like brushstrokes. Some impressions are of feathers. Not the whole feather, but the suggestion of it. A fine set of lines pressed into stone, the way wind presses patterns into sand. They do not shout proof. They simply invite you to look closer. Under a microscope, scientists notice something else. Tiny structures, repeated, patterned. Melanosomes, like little beads. Their shapes hinting at color the way a scent hints at a flower. From these tiny beads, a soft picture is reconstructed. Not exact, not certain in every shade, but enough to say that shimmer may have existed. A greenish gleam, a blue-black gloss, a quiet iridescence, like a hummingbird turning its throat in moonlight. The thought does not make the world louder, it makes it more beautiful. Now, listen again to the ancient forest. There is a sound, low and rounded, moving through the ground. It is not a roar, it is not sharp. It is more like the planet humming to itself. Some animals today use infrasound, low frequencies that travel far, that you feel more than you hear. Whales do it through oceans. Elephants do it through land. If dinosaurs used anything like it, their calls may have been deep vibrations rolling through foggy forests, a language made of resonance and distance. Imagine how calming that would be. A world where communication can be a quiet tremor, like a heartbeat carried across miles. If you've ever felt bass from distant music in a city at night, not loud enough to disturb, only enough to remind you that others are living, then you already know the feeling. The dinosaurs move somewhere beyond the trees, unseen but present. The ground gives small, gentle answers beneath your feet, and above you, the canopy drips with condensation. Drop, drop, each sound like a tiny punctuation mark in a long, soft sentence. Here is another thing the earth preserves, sometimes in its slow way. Not only footprints and feathers, but the atmosphere of a moment, a leaf trapped in amber, a grain of pollen, a bubble of ancient air, a miniature world sealed in honeyed light. When you think about that, time feels less like a line and more like layers. And your own life, your memories might feel layered too. Not lost, just covered gently by newer days. Still there, somewhere, waiting to glow when the light hits at the right angle. If tonight's story reminds you of a beautiful memory, feel free to share it below. Not because you must, but because sometimes naming a memory is like holding amber up to a lamp. It glows, and the glow is enough. Somewhere beyond the museum, far from city lights, there is a place where stone lies open to the sky. A badland of quiet ridges and gentle slopes. Not a harsh landscape tonight, just a wide, sleeping country of sand and clay, colored in soft reds and faded gold, as if dawn has been resting there for ages. In that place, a pale wind moves steadily. It doesn't howl, it just travels. It drifts over low shrubs, over small stones warmed by the day, and it slips into the cracks of exposed rock, carrying the faint scent of dry earth. A team arrives in the morning with careful tools and patient hands. They do not rush. They kneel beside the ground, the way one might kneel beside a garden bed. Brushes, small picks, soft wooden wedges, a quiet respect for what is hidden. They work the way you might untangle a delicate necklace. A few grains of sand loosen, a small fragment of bone appears. Not dramatic, not frightening, just a curved piece of history resting in its blanket of sediment. When they lift it, they support it from beneath, as if they are lifting something fragile and living, because in a way, they are. The past is fragile, even when it becomes stone. Nearby, in the same layer, a ripple-marked slab shows where an ancient shoreline once was. You can see the texture of shallow water frozen mid-breath, as if a lake sighed and then held its shape forever. Sometimes footprints appear here too, pressed into what was once wet sand at the edge of that vanished water. And when sunlight falls across those prints, their shadows deepen gently, making them look almost fresh again, as if the animal has only just walked out of frame. If you imagine standing there, you might feel very small, but not in a lonely way, in a comforting way, like being under a cathedral ceiling or under a night sky that asks nothing of you. Deep time has a quiet talent. It makes our worries shrink, not because they don't matter, but because they do not have to take up the whole room inside you. They can become smaller objects on a wide shelf. They can be set down. So right now, as this part of the story unfolds, try letting your forehead smooth, let your eyes rest behind your eyelids, and imagine your thoughts settling like sediment in still water. Slowly, naturally, without force. This is what the Earth does. It lets things settle. It lets layers form. And in those layers, it keeps what it can. A footprint, a feather, a shoreline, a breath of ancient air, so that one day, in a quiet room, you can feel connected again, and for a moment, your own life feels held. The museum grows quiet again around the footprint slab. The amber, in its case, looks like a small sun caught in a jar, and you, listener, are drifting between worlds, between the ancient forest and your own room, carried by the same slow truth. The past is not gone. It is softened, sealed, and still quietly present. In the next part, we will follow that presence one step further, from amber to stone, from stone to sky, because above every fossil bed, above every footprint, the night still opens like a wide, dark ocean. And somewhere in it, the stars are waiting, patient as deep time itself. The museum room is quiet enough that you can almost hear the glass breathing. The amber sits in its cradle of foam, honey gold and softly luminous, as if it has stored a small portion of sunset for millions of years. The stone slab with the footprint rests nearby, steady and untroubled, a simple shape that once belonged to motion. And now, very gently, the story invites you to look upward, not with urgency, not with a search for answers, just with the same softness you might use to look at the ceiling when you are half asleep, letting your eyes blur, letting your mind widen, because above every fossil bed, above every ancient forest, above every riverbank where mud once held a footprint, the sky has always been there, changing, yes, but also enduring in its quiet rhythm. If you can, take a slow breath in, let it fill you like cool night air, and as you breathe out, imagine stepping outside the museum and into an open, dark field. The ground is calm beneath you, and the air is gentle against your skin. Somewhere in the distance, a tree line forms a soft silhouette. The world feels wider than your day. Above you, the night sky opens like a deep ocean. Stars are scattered across it, not sharply, but with a softened clarity, as if they have been rubbed with velvet. Some are faint, some bright enough to hold your gaze without effort. And between them, there is a darkness that does not feel empty. It feels full of distance, full of time, full of quiet. This is where deep time becomes something you can feel, not measure. You can imagine that same sky, above the green Antarctica night, above the misty river, above the nest tucked into soft earth. The constellations would not be exactly the same. Stars drift slowly over thousands of years, and the Earth's axis shifts with patient inevitability. But the feeling would be familiar. A creature could lift its head, blink slowly, and see a canopy of light beyond the trees. And perhaps that creature did what you are doing now. Perhaps it paused. Perhaps it listened to the low resonance in the ground. Perhaps it felt the world being held by something larger than hunger and movement and weather. The sky is not a ceiling. It is a reminder that time can be vast without being cruel. A reminder that your worries can be real and still not be the whole story. A reminder that the universe has room for your tiredness. If you've been carrying a tight knot of thoughts, let this field be a place where they can loosen. Let the stars be small, steady anchors. You do not have to solve anything tonight. You only have to exist. In the museum, there is sometimes a small plaque near the fossil displays that mentions the word Jurassic or Cretaceous or Triassic. These words are beautiful, but they are also slippery. They can feel like distant continents of language. Out here, under the sky, you don't need the labels. You can simply think, long ago. Long ago, forests breathed in a different pattern. Long ago, oceans warmed and cooled and shifted their currents. Long ago, continents traveled the way sleepwalkers travel slowly, without realizing how far they've gone. And long ago, life kept trying. It tried feathers, it tried scales, it tried long necks and heavy tails and hollow bones. It tried colors hidden in shadow and colors that shimmered softly in moonlight. It tried family and herds and nests and migrations. It tried the quiet courage of continuing. That is one of the gentlest truths science offers when it is told without sharp edges. Evolution is not a battle cry. It is a long, patient conversation between life and its world. Sometimes the conversation is loud. Yes, storms, droughts, shifting seas, but often it is quiet. A slightly warmer coat, a lighter skeleton, a new way of breathing, a small change in shape that makes life feel a little easier. And when you look at a bird, you can see the conversation still happening. A wing folding like a careful letter, a feather catching light and turning it into sheen, a heartbeat quick and bright, a tiny dinosaur lineage still writing its story in the present. If you've ever watched a bird settle onto a branch at dusk, you might remember the way it becomes still, the way it tucks its head, the way it seems to trust the night. That trust is ancient. Tonight, under the stars, you can borrow some of it. Let your breathing slow, in and out. Now imagine something else, something very simple and very calming. Light takes time. The starlight reaching you now left its source long before it touched your eyes. Some of it began its journey years ago, some decades, some centuries. And if you look at the faintest stars, you are looking at light that has traveled far enough that it feels like a message sent across an enormous quiet. In that sense, the sky is a museum too. Not behind glass, not labeled, not curated by hands, but a living museum of time, sending you gentle postcards. And here is the soft twist that often settles people into a deeper calm. The atoms in your body are older than your worries. The carbon in your cells was once forged in ancient stars. The oxygen you breathe has traveled through seas and forests and countless lungs. The calcium in your bones has been part of shells and stones and sediments. Your body is not separate from deep time. It is made of it. You are not merely living under the universe. You are made from the same long story. If that thought feels too large, let it be large in a soothing way, like a blanket that covers more than you expected, like a room that opens into another room and then another, each quieter than the last. You do not have to be important in the universe for the universe to hold you. You only have to be here. Somewhere behind you, maybe a city glows, maybe a highway hums, maybe an apartment building is full of small lives settling into bed. Lights click off one by one, curtains close. The world, in its own way, practices letting go, and you can practice it too. Let your shoulders drop. Let your hands loosen. Let your thoughts become wider and less precise. If you can, imagine the ancient forest again, but this time, imagine it from above, like a slow aerial shot. The canopy is dark and lush. Fog drifts in gentle streams. Rivers coil like silver threads. In one clearing, A herd moves with slow grace. In another, a nest rests quietly, eggs warmed by a parent's steady presence. And above it all, the sky watches without judgment. The sky has watched everything. It watched the first leaves unfurl. It watched the resin run down bark. It watched feathers drift. And it watched mud accept footprints. It watched seasons stretch long at the pole. It watched continents pull apart and then shift into new shapes. It watched ice arrive like a patient hush. It watched life change and continue, and it watches you now, not in a surveillance way, in a sheltering way, the way a roof watches a sleeping house, the way darkness watches a candle flame and makes its glow feel warmer. Sometimes, when people are tired, they think they have to be strong by holding everything together. But deep time suggests another kind of strength, the strength of yielding. The footprint yields to mud, the mud yields to silt, the silt yields to stone, the feather yields to resin, the resin yields to amber. Nothing is lost. It is transformed, softened, kept in a different form. Maybe your own life has been asking you to yield too, to release what you cannot control, to soften your grip on what has already passed, to let yourself be a little more porous, a little more forgiving, not because you are giving up, but because you are choosing peace. If you've been thinking, I should have done more, or I should have been better, let that thought drift away like a cloud. Tonight, you are allowed to be human, brief, tired, tender, and you're allowed to rest inside a story that is older and wider than anything you have to fix. Now, let's return to the museum one more time. Picture the footprint slab again. Notice its simplicity. 3 toes, a curve, a shallow hollow where weight once pressed down. The footprint is not dramatic. It is not trying to impress. It simply says, I was here. In the field, you might notice how the cool air makes every sound clearer. A distant owl call softened by space, the faint rustle of grass, the small click of a stone under your shoe. None of it is urgent. It is simply the world speaking in whispers. If you imagine lying down on that grass, you could feel the earth's warmth rising slowly through the layers. Like a quiet reassurance, beneath you are sediments, and beneath them older sediments, and beneath them the bones of mountains worn down into sand. Above you are stars, and between you and them is only air. In that wide middle space, your mind can finally unclench, and your body can remember how to rest again tonight. Perhaps that is the most healing sentence a story can offer. I was here, you are here too, and you don't have to leave a giant mark. You don't have to roar to be real. Sometimes, the most meaningful evidence is gentle, a kind word, a steady presence, a quiet choice to breathe slowly and let the night hold you. If this story has brought you calm, leave a gentle comment for yourself. A single word is enough, something like rest, or soft, or home. And if you'd like to join us again, don't forget to subscribe for more peaceful nighttime journeys. Now, the sky above the museum is the same sky above your home. The stars keep their slow vigil. The earth keeps its patient turning. And you, listener, can let your mind drift into a quieter place, knowing that in the vast, timeless silence, even giants once dreamed. In a moment, we will step closer to that silence. We will let the story become softer still, less about facts and more about feeling. We will let deep time do what it does best, make everything lighter, For now, stay with the stars a little longer. Breathe in, slow. Breathe out, long. And let yourself drift. The stars above the field do not rush, and neither do we. Tonight, the story begins to lower its voice even more, like someone dimming a lamp until only a warm halo remains. If you are still awake enough to notice your breathing, let it become simple. In and out. Nothing to fix, nothing to chase. Only the gentle motion of being alive. In the museum, there is a moment every visitor eventually reaches, even if they do not say it aloud. A moment when the word gone appears in the mind. Gone, as in, the giants are no longer here. Gone, as in, the forests changed. Gone, as in, time moved on without asking permission. But deep time does not hold gone the way we do. For us, gone can feel sharp, like a door closing. For the earth, gone is often a turning, a soft turning, like a page eased over in the dark. So tonight, we will approach that turning carefully, not through fire and drama, not through loud comparisons and frightening images, but through the quiet truth that worlds change the way seasons change, slowly, unevenly, and with a strange kind of grace. Imagine the ancient forest again, but later, the air is cooler, the nights feel longer. The fog carries a different scent, less sweet, more crisp. Certain trees that once thrived begin to thin, not all at once. Just enough that the canopy opens in places, letting more sky show through. Along the riverbanks, plants shift their patterns. Some ferns remain, but their beds move. New species appear like unfamiliar notes in a familiar song. Insects change. The small creatures that depended on certain leaves learn new routes, new foods, new ways to wait. The dinosaurs are still here in this scene, but even they feel the shift. Not as fear, as atmosphere, as a subtle change in the world's background music. A herd crosses a plain that used to be wetter. Their footsteps are still steady, but the mud is thinner. Their tracks are lighter, less likely to be kept. The river runs lower in places, then swells suddenly after storms, then retreats again. The rhythm is less predictable, like a lullaby played with new pauses. If you have ever felt your own life change this way quietly, without a single dramatic moment, you understand. Sometimes, a season inside you changes in small increments. A familiar joy feels farther away. A certain kind of energy no longer arrives on command. The days do not break you, they simply rearrange you. Deep time is full of rearrangements. In another part of the world, far from this southern forest, a coastline lifts slowly. Oceans shift their currents. In some places, the water warms. In other places, it cools. Sea levels rise and fall in patient arcs. Volcanoes, now and then, breathe out their minerals into the air, and the sky wears a hazier veil for a while. None of this is a villain in the story. It is simply the planet moving through its own long life. And life responds. Some lineages fade, some become rarer, some discover new spaces, new niches, new quiet advantages. Small animals that live close to the ground learn to hide in burrows. Creatures with lighter bodies find it easier to travel. Those who can eat many kinds of food are less dependent on a single landscape. You do not need the details like a textbook tonight. You only need the feeling. The world is always gently selecting for what can continue, not with cruelty, but with physics, not with judgment, but with opportunity. In the museum, you might see a timeline, a long strip with colored bands. At one end, the dinosaurs arrive. For a long stretch, they flourish. And then, eventually, a band narrows and changes color, suggesting the end of an era. Yet even that end is not a blank space. It is a doorway, because one branch of that great dinosaur story had already learned a quieter way to survive. A way that fit into trees and reeds and cliff ledges. A way that could take shelter in smallness. Feathers, wings, warm blood, eggs tended in hidden places, songs that could travel through air. Birds did not appear after the dinosaurs as a replacement. They were already part of the dinosaur family, one strand woven through the larger tapestry. And when the world's conditions shifted, that strand remained. So when you hear a bird tomorrow, you can hear it as a gentle continuation, not a haunting, a continuation. A world of giants narrowed into a world of wings. If that feels sad, let it be sad in a soft way, like a sunset, not tragic, natural. A reminder that beauty does not end, it changes shape. Now, step back into your own night again. Perhaps you are in a room with familiar walls. Perhaps you are on a couch, or in bed, or in headphones under a blanket. Wherever you are, let your body be where it is. Notice the small dinosaur outside your window. Maybe it is not calling at this exact moment, but somewhere nearby, birds are sleeping, tucked into branches, hidden in ivy, resting in the architecture of trees, the way their ancestors once rested in ancient forests. And notice your own sleepiness as a kind of ancient intelligence. Your body knows when to slow down. It knows how to fold the day away and store it. It knows how to let thoughts settle like sediment. It knows how to heal quietly in the dark. That, too, is deep time. Healing is a long story written in cells. Sometimes, people try to meet change with force. They try to grip the old world until their hands ache. But the earth teaches a softer way. The footprint does not resist the mud. The feather does not fight the resin. They yield, and in yielding, they are kept. If you have been holding something tightly, an old regret, a worry about tomorrow, a sadness you cannot name, try loosening your grip by one small degree. Not to erase it, only to let it breathe. You can tell yourself, very quietly, for now, I can rest. Even if everything is not solved, even if the future is not clear. For now, rest is enough. The field under the stars grows quieter. The wind becomes a slower whisper. Clouds drift like pale boats, and your mind, if it wants to, can drift too. In the museum, the lights dim at closing time. A guard walks through, footsteps soft. The exhibits remain, motionless but alive with meaning. The footprint waits, the amber waits, the past waits, not as a weight, but as a companion. And when you are ready, you can let that companionship be simple. A thought that comforts rather than demands. The world has changed many times, and life has continued in gentle forms. You have changed many times too, even if you do not give yourself credit. And you are still here, breathing, listening, resting. Imagine, for a moment, that you are walking again along that ancient riverbank, but in a different season. The same curve of water, the same soft ground, and yet the light has changed. You pass the place where the nest once rested. The shallow bowl is still there, but half filled with dry leaves, as if the forest has gently reclaimed it. A few pale eggshell fragments lie like tiny porcelain crescents, softened by time. No sadness clings to them, only the quiet truth that life moves forward, leaving small, tender traces. Farther on, you find another set of tracks, smaller this time, bird-like. Three-toed prints that look almost like the footprint in the museum, only lighter, more delicate. They weave between stones near the water, then disappear into reeds. The reeds sway, and the scene feels like a soft promise. Some stories become quieter, not shorter. Above the river, a thin layer of cloud drifts through the moonlight. It blurs the stars, then clears again. And you can sense, without needing a lecture, that the sky itself has seasons too. Not the quick seasons of our calendars, but long swings of warmth and cold, of dryness and rain, of calm and change. The earth is always adjusting its blanket. Now picture a dawn, long after the green Antarctica night. Not dramatic, just a slow brightening, like a lamp turning up. Mist lifts from the ground in sheets. Somewhere, a bird calls. The call echoes once, then fades, leaving behind a spacious silence. The dinosaurs of the forest are farther away now, fewer in number, but the world does not feel empty. It feels prepared. And in another place, perhaps a coastline, you can imagine the first seabirds practicing the art of riding wind. They launch from a cliff, wings opening like pages. They glide without struggle, letting air do the work. Below them, waves move in slow bands of silver and dark blue, repeating their gentle lesson. Nothing needs to hurry. If you have been living with the feeling that you must control everything to be safe, let the seabirds teach you another way. They trust the currents. They adjust with small movements. They rest when they can. They keep going, not through force, but through harmony. Tonight, you can do that too. You can let your thoughts glide. If one worry rises, you can notice it. The way you notice a cloud, then you can let it drift onward. You do not have to follow it. You can return to your breath again and again, like returning to the shoreline. In and out, softly, steadily. That is what deep time offers. Not fear, but connection. Not drama, but perspective. Not a warning, but a lullaby that says, you are part of something vast, and you are allowed to rest. If tonight's story has been a quiet lantern for you, you can leave a gentle comment, just a word, like ease, or drift, or thank you. And if you'd like more peaceful journeys through science, history, and the sky, don't forget to subscribe to Sleepy Insight channel. Now, let the last image soften. A moonlit footprint filling with still water. A feather sealed in honeyed light. A bird tucked into a branch outside your window. A slow planet turning beneath a patient sky. Breathe in, slowly. Breathe out, longer. And let the quiet turning carry you towards sleep. Somewhere, very near to where you are listening, the night is doing its quiet work. Even if you live in a busy city, even if there are lights outside your window and faint sounds moving through the streets, there is still a softer layer beneath it all, an older layer, like a deep ocean under a restless surface. The world keeps turning, but it does not demand that you turn with it. Let your attention rest on something small. Imagine a bird, not a dramatic bird, not a rare bird that needs to be named. Just a simple night bird, tucked into the crook of a branch, its feathers fluffed into a round shape to hold warmth, a tiny chest rising and falling, a head turned slightly, one eye closed, one eye perhaps half open for a moment, then closing again. If you have ever watched a bird sleep, you know the tenderness of it, the way it trusts the night enough to let its body go soft, the way it holds itself lightly, as if sleep is not something it fights for, but something it simply accepts. Tonight, you can borrow that acceptance. Take a slow breath in, and as you breathe out, let your shoulders loosen another degree. Now, let the story drift a little closer to your own world. Picture the edge of your window, or the line where your roof meets the sky. Somewhere nearby, there may be a ledge, a wire, a tree branch. In the daytime, birds come and go there like tiny visitors, leaving brief shadows, brief songs, brief footprints that vanish by afternoon. But at night, many of them become still. And that stillness is a bridge, because long before your home, before your city, before even the idea of home existed in human minds, small feathered dinosaurs were learning this same skill. How to become quiet, how to tuck in, how to survive the darkness with patience rather than panic. It is one of the softest continuities on Earth. When you hear birdsong, you are not only hearing nature, you are hearing deep time softened into music. You are hearing a lineage that once walked beneath cycads and ferns, beneath skies that looked different yet felt the same. If that idea feels too big, let it become simple. A bird outside your window belongs to a story that has been running for a very long time, and it is still gentle. In the museum, the footprint was large enough to fill a palm. The stone slab made it feel official, preserved, worthy of display. But out in the living world, the prints are smaller, 3 thin toes pressed into dust, a mark on wet soil beside a puddle, a signature in snow that melts by noon. And yet those small prints matter too. They remind you that not everything needs to last forever to be meaningful. Some moments are meant to be temporary, the way a breath is temporary. In, out, gone, yet it kept you alive. The earth holds both kinds of marks, the ones that become stone and the ones that dissolve back into the day. And in a strange way, that balance is comforting. It suggests that you don't have to hold on to everything. Some things can pass through you and leave without harming you. If your mind is holding onto the day too tightly, try letting it loosen. You can picture your thoughts as footprints in soft mud. The river of sleep is rising gently now, smoothing the edges, not erasing your life, only calming the surface. If you like, you can picture yourself doing one small, gentle ritual before sleep. Maybe it is the way you pull the blanket higher, the way fabric slides across your skin with a soft whisper. Maybe it is the way you turn your pillow to the cool side, searching for that small, clean comfort. Or perhaps it is the quiet trip to the kitchen, where the house is dim and the refrigerator hums like a distant ocean. You pour a little water into a kettle. You wait. The wait is not wasted. It is part of the calming. Soon there is warmth, a faint cloud of steam, and the scent of something simple, chamomile, mint, or just warm water with nothing added. You hold the mug with both hands for a moment, letting heat move into your palms. And you realize that the body loves small kindnesses. It notices them, it believes them. In that moment, you are not a worker, not a problem solver, not a person trying to keep up. You are simply a living creature in the dark, taking in warmth. That is all, and that is enough. Deep time is made of moments like this. Too small warmth, small shelter, small pauses that allow life to continue. In the ancient forest, warmth might have been the heat held in mud after a long day. It might have been the shared body heat of a herd resting close together, or a parent settling near a nest, careful and steady. It might have been the gentle insulation of feathers, turning cold air into something bearable. If you imagine that warmth now, it can feel like a soft thread connecting worlds. Your mug in your hands, and a feathered creature tucking in beneath ferns, your blanket across your shoulders, and resin running down bark, sealing a tiny moment in amber. You don't have to force the connection. You can simply let it appear. Sometimes, the mind relaxes most when it is allowed to drift between images without effort. A museum drawer sliding closed, a moonlit river, a quiet kitchen, a star-salted sky. Each scene dissolving into the next like waves, each one carrying you farther from the sharp edges of the day. And if a thought interrupts an unfinished task, a conversation replaying, treat it gently. Let it be like a bird passing across the sky. Notice it, then let it go. You can tell yourself softly, not now. Tomorrow has its own time. Your body will understand that permission, because permission is what sleep often needs. Not pressure, not perfection, just permission. And perhaps you can add one more gentle permission. You don't have to remember everything you heard tonight. You don't have to learn the past or hold on to the details. Let the facts be like distant stars, present, comforting, but not demanding. If your mind wants to wander, let it wander. If your eyes want to close, let them close. The story will keep flowing, and you can simply float on it, the way a leaf floats on slow water, carried without effort, held without hurry. In this quiet corner of night, you are allowed to be unfinished, and still completely safe here now. The field under the stars returns again, wider than your worries. Above you, the sky looks calm, but it is full of motion that takes no effort from you. The slow spin of the earth, the drift of thin cloud, the quiet falling of dew. The universe does not need you to manage it. It has been doing its work long before you arrived. And you, too, have a kind of deep time within you. Your body is older than your schedule. Your nervous system has carried you through countless days. It has learned how to lift you into alertness and how to lower you into rest. Sometimes it forgets, yes, especially when life is loud, but it can remember. Tonight, it can remember. So let's help it. Imagine the Jurassic Forest one last time, but not as a scene of distance. Imagine it as a place of calm familiarity. The air is humid and cool. The ground is springy with moss. A river moves with a steady hush. Fog drifts through shafts of moonlight, and tiny particles float, bright for a second, then fading. Somewhere, far off, a low vibration rolls through the earth, soft as thunder that never arrives. In that forest, a feathered creature settles into a nest of leaves. It does not look at the future. It does not replay the past. It simply lowers its body and rests. You can do the same. Let your breathing become slightly slower, in and out. Now, notice something about the way stories work. A good story does not only entertain, it makes room. It gives the mind a place to rest, the way a quiet room gives the body a place to exhale. And tonight, the story has been making room for you. Room to feel small in a comforting way. Room to feel connected without needing to work for it. If you have been feeling alone lately, let this be a gentle reminder. Connection can arrive through quiet things, through the same sky that covers your city and the ancient forest, through the same breath that rises and falls in you and in every sleeping animal, through the simple truth that your tiredness is not a personal failure, it is a human condition, and you are allowed to meet it with kindness. Here, no one rests alone. Every story is a soft lantern in the dark. And if tonight's story reminded you of a beautiful memory, feel free to share it below. A few words when you are ready. Not as a performance, only as a small footprint of your presence. Now, let the science fade into softness. We don't need more facts for the rest of tonight. We only need the feeling that the world is older than our stress, wider than our to-do lists, and gentle enough to hold us while we sleep. Picture, again, the amber, a feather inside, suspended in honeyed light. No struggle, no hurry, just a moment held safely. Let that be your image of rest. Your thoughts can be held too, without being solved. Your feelings can be present without being heavy. Your day can be folded away, like time folded in honey, and placed on a shelf until morning. Outside your window, the bird on the branch shifts slightly. Feathers rustle, then stillness returns. Somewhere farther away, another bird makes a tiny sound, half a note, then silence. Not a call for attention, only a small proof that life is here and calm is possible. The sky remains patient and dark. And now, as you drift closer to sleep, you can ask yourself one soft question, not to answer, only to feel. When was the last time you looked up at the night sky and felt at peace? If you don't know, that's okay. Tonight can be that time. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out longer. Let your body sink. Let your mind float. And let this long, gentle lineage, footprints, feathers, forests, stars, carry you quietly into rest. The night outside your window continues to settle, like dust drifting down through a quiet beam of lamplight. Somewhere, the city slows. Somewhere, a tree holds still. Somewhere, a bird keeps its small, feathered shape tucked into darkness. And somewhere inside you, the day is beginning to loosen its knots. If you are awake enough to notice your body, notice the simplest things first. The place where your head meets the pillow, the weight of the blanket across your shoulders, the gentle warmth in your hands, even if the room is cool. You don't need to chase sleep. You can let sleep come to you, the way fog comes to a riverbank slowly, without forcing anything. Tonight, we have wandered through deep time. We followed a footprint pressed into warm mud. We watched resin gather a feather and turn it into amber light. We stood beneath a sky that holds messages older than our calendars. Now the story begins to turn inward. Not away from science, not away from history, but toward the quiet place where those vast stories meet a single human life. Because the most calming lesson of deep time is not only that the world is old, it is also that the world is gentle with traces. A footprint does not have to be loud to be real. It does not have to be perfect to be kept. It only has to be a moment of contact weight, meeting earth, then release. Imagine, for a moment, the ancient footprint again. 3 toes, a soft curve, a hollow where a living body pressed down, then moved on. The animal did not pause to admire its mark. It did not wonder whether it was significant. It simply walked. There is something healing in that. So many of us walk through our days asking, silently, am I doing enough? Am I leaving something worthwhile? Will any of this matter? Deep time answers with a quiet smile. It says, you are here. That is already something. If you have ever looked back on a difficult season of your life and felt surprised that you made it through, you already know what fossils teach. The body continues, the mind adapts, the heart learns new shapes of patience. Sometimes the mark you leave is not a grand achievement. Sometimes it is a small act of steadiness, a meal you made when you didn't feel like cooking, a message you sent to someone you love, a decision to breathe before you reacted. These are footprints too, not in stone, but in the soft ground of other people's days. And perhaps that is why this story is such a gentle companion for the night. It invites you to stop measuring your life only by its loud moments. It invites you to notice the quiet ones. If you want, picture your day as a long path through dim light. At the beginning, maybe you stepped out quickly, carrying the weight of plans. Maybe you moved through conversations, work, errands, responsibilities. Maybe you felt pulled in many directions, like a leaf in shifting wind. And yet, you are here now, at the end of the path, in the calm. That means something. It means you have already traveled far enough for today. In the ancient forest, a herd moved slowly through mist. They did not sprint unless they had to. They conserved their energy. They rested when the world allowed it. Even giants understood the value of being unhurried. For modern humans, unhurried can feel almost like a forbidden luxury, but the nervous system does not see it as luxury. It sees it as safety. So tonight, let your body read the signals of safety. The stable darkness, the familiar room, the soft, steady sound of this voice, the gentle pace of your own breathing, in and out. If you notice a thought trying to pull you away tomorrow's schedule, an unfinished task, treat it as a cloud. You can look at it without climbing into it. Then you can let it drift. You can say, quietly, "Not now," and return to your breath. Deep time does not hurry. It does not demand immediate answers. It simply continues, layer by layer, until the shape becomes clear. Your life can be like that too. A layered story, a long conversation with the world. Not everything has to resolve in a single day. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is rest. Rest is not quitting. Rest is maintenance. Rest is a quiet kind of courage. Picture again the amber in its glass case, a feather suspended inside, perfectly still. The feather is not trapped. It is held, protected, saved from the roughness of time. Tonight, you can let yourself be held in a similar way, not by resin, not by stone, but by the simple kindness of the night, by your bed, by your breath, by the fact that you are allowed to stop. If you are listening from a place far away, imagine how many other people are also listening to stories like this. Different rooms, different cities, different lives, yet the same need, peace, the same desire to feel less alone. Here, no one rests alone. Every story is a soft lantern in the dark. If this story brought you calm, you can leave a gentle comment for yourself, just one word. Rest, soft, home, or even your city, your state, your corner of the world. Where are you listening from tonight? Your presence adds warmth to this quiet corner of the night. Now, let's return once more to the night sky. Not to think about distances, but to feel the comfort of scale. Stars are so far away that their light must travel for years to reach you. And yet the light arrives, softly, patiently, without asking for anything in return. That is what comfort can be, not a solution, a presence. Maybe you have someone in your life who has been that kind of star. A person whose steadiness helped you breathe easier. A friend who listened without rushing you. A parent, a partner, a mentor, a stranger who offered a small kindness at the right moment. If a face comes to mind, let it come gently. You don't have to do anything with it. You can simply feel gratitude like warm tea spreading through your chest. And if no one comes to mind, that is okay too. Tonight, let the sky be your steadiness. Let the story be your companion. Let your own breath be the one faithful thing you can always return to. In the ancient forest, the river kept moving. It carried silt and pollen and drifting leaves. It did not hold on to what passed through it. It made room. It continued. Your mind can be like that river tonight. Thoughts can pass through. Feelings can pass through. You do not have to dam them up. You can let them flow towards sleep. As the night deepens, the scenes we visited begin to blur, the way memories blur when you are safe. The footprint becomes a shape of moonlight. The feather becomes a tiny golden glow. The herd becomes a slow shadow moving through fog. The sky becomes a dark ocean holding quiet sparks. You can let those images drift farther away now. You don't have to follow them. You can simply float. If you want one last image to hold gently, choose the simplest one. A single footprint in soft mud. Not ancient, not famous, just a footprint. Now imagine that footprint is yours today. Not in a literal sense, but in the way your day left small marks. A kind word you spoke, a boundary you kept, a small task you completed, a moment you paused to look up, even briefly, at the sky. These are gentle footprints. They matter, and they are enough. Tomorrow will offer another soft stretch of earth, another chance to step, another chance to release. But tonight, you are done. Tonight, you are allowed to be quiet. Breathe in slowly, breathe out long. Let your eyelids grow heavier. Let your forehead smooth. Let your shoulders melt. And if sleep comes now, let it come. If it comes later, that is fine too. Either way, you are held by a story older than worry, wider than stress, and kinder than you think. Before the story lets you fully drift, there is one more quiet discovery to offer. It is not a fact meant for your memory. It is a feeling meant for your nervous system. In deep time, nothing truly disappears. It changes form. Mud becomes stone. Resin becomes amber. Sound becomes silence. And silence becomes space for something new. Even the parts of your life that feel lost may only be changing form. A relationship that ended might become wisdom. A season of hardship might become tenderness. A dream you set aside might return later, reshaped, quieter, more fitting for who you are now. If you have been grieving anything, time, youth, a version of yourself, let the grief be gentle tonight. You do not have to push it away. You can hold it the way you would hold a small bird in your hands, softly, carefully, without squeezing. And then you can loosen your fingers, because sleep is also a kind of transformation. The day folds itself. The mind sorts what it can. The body repairs in secret. You wake up not as a new person, but as a slightly restored one. Imagine, for a moment, the museum after closing. The last footsteps fade. Lights dim to a low glow. The fossil rooms become quiet chambers of patience. The footprint remains. The amber remains. They do not need attention to be real. They simply are. Your life can be like that too. Even when no one is watching, you are still worthy of gentleness. Even when you are not producing anything, you are still allowed to exist peacefully. So if your mind has been measuring you, let it rest from measuring. If your inner voice has been rushing you, let it slow. Tonight, you are not a project. You are a living being, resting under a sky that has room for you. One more breath, slow and easy, in and out. And with that exhale, imagine the softest curtain of fog drifting back across the ancient riverbank, covering the footprint like a blanket, not hiding it, tucking it in. Now the river hushes, the forest darkens, the stars soften into distant velvet, and you can drift the way a leaf drifts without trying. If you wake in the night, return here, a slow breath, a soft image. And remember, you have already done enough for today, dear listener, as well. The night has a way of making everything feel more honest. In the daytime, we rush past the small truths, past the quiet needs of the body, past the tenderness hiding under routine. But at night, the world softens, edges blur, sounds become fewer, and the ones that remain feel closer to the bone. So tonight, as we move toward the end of our journey, imagine once more the museum after hours. No crowds, no footsteps echoing through bright halls, only a low, steady hush like a sleeping house. The doors are locked, the lights are dimmed to a gentle glow. Somewhere in the building, a vent breathes warm air into the quiet. A security guard walks slowly, not to hurry anyone along, but to make sure the silence stays safe. Inside the fossil room, everything waits. The footprint slab rests under glass. The amber sits like a small sun that learned to be quiet. The labels and timelines hang on the walls, like soft reminders, not demands. And in this stillness, the exhibits feel less like objects and more like companions, patient witnesses to how the world keeps changing without losing its meaning. If you imagine standing there, you might notice how your own mind begins to resemble a museum too, not in the rigid, polished way, more in the tender way. A place where moments are stored, where certain memories are displayed brightly, and others are kept in drawers, wrapped in tissue, waiting for the right light. Some memories in you are like fossils. They feel fixed. They feel heavy. They feel like something that happened and then hardened, leaving a mark you can't quite smooth away. Other memories are like amber. They hold a small warmth, a scent, a face, a laugh, a fragment of music, a moment you didn't realize was precious until much later. And some memories are like footprints in soft mud. They were never meant to last. They were meant to carry you from one moment to the next. They faded, and that was okay. Deep time teaches us to respect all three. Not everything must be preserved. Not everything must be forgotten. Some things simply pass through, and that is part of being alive. Tonight, you don't have to sort your memories. You don't have to solve your past. You don't have to turn your life into a neat display with labels that make everything easy. You can simply be here, breathing, letting the story hold you. If your thoughts are busy, imagine them as visitors wandering slowly through the museum. They look at an exhibit, pause, and then move on. No rushing, no panic. Just a gentle flow. And if a painful memory appears, one you didn't invite, try meeting it with the softness of a museum light. Not harsh, not interrogating. Just enough illumination to say, yes, this exists. Then, if you can, let it drift to the side, like fog moving away from a riverbank. You are allowed to set down what you've been carrying. The footprint under glass is a good teacher for this. It doesn't explain itself. It doesn't apologize for being what it is. It doesn't insist on being interpreted. It simply says, a life passed here, and that is enough. Your life has passed through many places too. Through rooms you no longer live in, through jobs you no longer hold, through relationships that changed shape, through versions of yourself that felt certain at the time and then softened into something else. If you feel grief about those changes, let the grief be gentle tonight. Grief is often a sign that you cared, that you were present, that you loved something enough to feel its absence. Deep time holds grief differently. It doesn't treat it as an emergency. It treats it as part of the landscape, like a valley carved slowly by water, like a shoreline reshaped by waves, not erased, not dramatic, simply integrated. So if you are grieving time, youth, opportunity, a person, a dream, let yourself breathe around it. Inhale softly, exhale long. Imagine the grief as a stone in your hand, warmed by your palm. You don't have to throw it away. You can just loosen your grip a little. The museum's amber glows quietly. Inside it, the feather rests, still and safe. It reminds you that even delicate things can be held without harm, that the world can keep what matters in gentle ways. Maybe tonight, you can hold yourself like that, not with pressure, not with criticism, with care. If your inner voice has been sharp lately, let it soften here. If you've been talking to yourself as if you are a problem to fix, let the night offer a different sentence. I am a living being. I am allowed to rest. Outside the museum, the sky stretches wide. Stars remain patient. And the earth, underneath, continues its slow turning, an endless lullaby you never have to conduct. Sometimes, people say they want to feel in control, to feel safe. But deep time suggests another kind of safety. The safety of being part of something larger that does not require your constant effort. The planet will keep spinning whether you worry or not. The night will keep falling whether you plan or not. The river of time will keep moving whether you hold your breath or exhale. So exhale. Let the shoulders drop. Let the forehead smooth. Let the eyes grow heavier. Now imagine a simple scene close to home. A kitchen light left on low. A hallway dim and quiet. A blanket folded neatly on the back of a chair. These ordinary things are your fossils and your amber too. They are the evidence that you live here, that you belong somewhere, that you have made a small nest in the world. In the ancient forest, nests were made of leaves and softened earth. In your life, nests can be made of fabric and routine and gentle habits. A warm drink, a familiar pillow, a story you return to, a moment of looking out the window at the same sky. None of this is trivial. For a nervous system, these are signals of safety. These are the things that tell your body, you can stop now. And when the body believes that, sleep arrives more easily, not as a performance, but as a natural descent. The museum room grows quieter still. Even the air feels slower. And in that hush, you might notice something tender. The past is not only behind you, it is also inside you. In the way you learned to comfort yourself, in the way you learned to keep going, in the way you learned to become softer after being hurt. That is evolution too, not only in bones and feathers, but in hearts. So as we prepare to drift toward the end of this story, let a new question arrive. Softly, with no pressure to answer. What is one small kindness you can offer yourself tonight? It can be as simple as a deeper exhale, as simple as unclenching your jaw, as simple as letting your mind stop rehearsing tomorrow. Let that kindness be your footprint today, a small mark pressed into the soft earth of the night. You don't need anyone to see it, you only need to feel it. And if sleep comes now, let it come. If it comes later, that is fine too. Either way, you are held. Before we close, linger with one more image. Picture a researcher's hands, careful and unhurried, lifting a small fossil fragment from foam. The fragment is ordinary in size, no bigger than a cookie, maybe smaller, yet it carries a scale of time that makes the room feel larger. The researcher does not celebrate loudly. They simply breathe, steady, as if they are handling a sleeping animal. Because in a way, they are holding a life, just not a life that moves anymore. Then imagine the same gentleness applied to your own days. What if you treated your tiredness like something worthy of careful hands? What if you handled your mistakes like fragile artifacts, not to worship them, not to hide them, but to place them somewhere safe, where they can teach without hurting? So many people fall asleep with their mind still working, still scanning for danger, still editing the past. But the museum teaches another habit: to look, to acknowledge, and then to let the exhibit stay in its place. You don't have to carry everything around in your arms. Some things can be set down behind glass. Some things can be stored in a drawer until you have more light. Now imagine you step outside the museum again, into the field. The grass is cool and slightly damp. A thin breeze passes, like a slow hand smoothing your hair. Above you, the stars feel quieter than before, as if they are listening. A bird stirs in the dark, not to sing, just to adjust its feathers, to tuck its head a little deeper. That small motion is a lesson in trust. It says, I will not stay alert forever. I will choose rest, because rest is also part of survival. If you've been living with your shoulders raised, if you've been sleeping lightly, listening for problems, remember the bird. It is not naive. It is wise. It knows that a body cannot be vigilant all the time and stay well. So it rests when the night is calm, and it wakes when the morning arrives. Simple, ancient, enough. You can practice that wisdom tonight. Let your ears soften. Let your eyes soften. Let your breath become the only schedule you follow. Inhale, slow. Exhale, long. And if your mind tries to pull you into tomorrow, offer it a quiet reassurance. For now, I am allowed to drift. In the museum, the footprint remains, a record of a step and a release. That release is the part we often forget. We remember the pressure, the weight, the responsibility, but the footprint is also proof that the foot lifted, that the body moved on, that the earth carried the mark without asking the creature to keep holding it. So let your day be carried now. Let the night hold it. Let sleep do what it does: sort, soften, restore. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy of rest. You only have to be here. In the next and final part, we will let the story fade into its gentlest form. We will return to the forest, to the river, to the sky, and then to your breath. And we will end the way deep time often ends a chapter, not with a slam, but with a quiet turning of the page. The last part of a nighttime story should feel like the last few minutes before sleep, when the mind stops trying to understand and simply allows. So tonight, we will let the images soften. We will let the facts become warm background light, and we will let your body take the lead. If it helps, notice your breathing again. In, slow, out, long, like a tide drawing back from shore. Now return, one final time, to the ancient riverbank. The forest is darker than before. Not frightening, just deep. Mist moves at ankle height, pale and quiet, like a blanket that forgot to be heavy. The river slides past with a soft shh, shh, repeating, as if it is practicing patience. On the bank, the footprint is still there, or rather, the place where it was, because time is already working. Silt is settling, edges are blurring. The print is being tucked in by the earth. This is the gentle truth we've been circling all night. The world does not hold things by force. It holds them by layering, by softness, by slow protection. A leaf falls. It lands on damp mud without sound. Then another leaf, and another. A quiet covering, a small, natural lullaby. Somewhere in the trees, a feathered creature adjusts its weight and becomes still again. A bird, not yet modern, but already practicing the same ancient art. It tucks its head. It trusts the dark. It lets its muscles release. If you are listening and you feel sleepiness rising, let it rise. You don't have to resist it. Sleep is not something you achieve. It is something you allow. Now the camera of your imagination lifts, very slowly, above the canopy. You see the river winding like a ribbon of dark glass. You see patches of mist moving through clearings. You see the faint shine of wet leaves catching thin moonlight. Everything looks softened, as if the world has been gently defocused for the sake of peace. And above it all, the sky opens. Stars are scattered like quiet sparks. Clouds drift slowly, pale and thin. The universe feels wide enough to hold every version of the Earth that has ever existed. Green Antarctica, warm seas, drifting continents, ice-covered silence, and your own small room tonight. Deep time is not a threat. It is a comfort. It tells you that change is natural and that continuity can be gentle. It tells you that endings can be openings. It tells you that what matters often survives by becoming softer, smaller, quieter. Now, bring that comfort back to your body. Feel the weight of your head. Feel the heaviness of your eyelids. Let your tongue rest. Let your jaw loosen. Let your shoulders sink down and away from your ears. If you find yourself thinking, simply return to one simple image, a footprint filling with moonlight. The footprint doesn't ask to be remembered. It doesn't demand meaning. It simply exists for a moment, then yields. That yielding is the doorway. So, tonight, you can yield too. Yield your day to the night. Yield your worries to the quiet. Yield your tight grip on what you cannot fix right now. You can tell yourself, softly, for now, I can rest. In the museum, the amber glows in its case, honeyed and calm. Inside it, the feather rests, as if time itself decided to be gentle. That feather is a reminder that delicate things can be held safely. You can be held safely too. Sometimes, people fear that if they rest, they will fall behind. But the earth has never rushed the way people rush. It has always moved in slow cycles, seasons, tides, deep geological turns. Rest is not falling behind. Rest is returning to rhythm. Listen for the rhythm in this story. The rivers hush, the mists drift, the slow step of a herd, the soft wing fold of a bird, the patient pulse of your own heart. That pulse has carried you through every hard day you've survived. It has carried you through celebrations and disappointments, through beginnings and endings, through ordinary afternoons and long nights. It is here now, steady, doing the quiet work of keeping you alive. So let it do its work while you sleep. Now, imagine a gentle closing scene. The ancient forest fades into a modern one, not abruptly like a dissolve in a film. Fern becomes houseplant. Moonlit river becomes a quiet street after rain. Mist becomes the soft breath you exhale into your pillow. And the bird becomes the one outside your window, resting in a branch, feathers fluffed, eyes closed. The connection is not something you have to prove. It is something you can feel. Every bird alive today is a living continuation of deep time. Every breath you take is part of a cycle older than worry. Every night you rest is a small return to the planet's ancient habit of healing in darkness. Before we close, let's linger in the quiet for a little longer, the way you linger at the edge of sleep. Imagine you are lying in a safe place. Maybe it is your bed. Maybe it is a couch with a familiar blanket. Maybe it is a room where the air feels steady and kind. Notice the temperature on your skin. Notice how the fabric under you supports your weight without asking anything from you. If you can, scan gently from the top of your head down to your toes, not to judge, only to release. Let the muscles around your eyes soften. Let your cheeks soften. Let your shoulders feel heavy, as if they are sinking into warm sand. Let your arms rest, loose and unimportant. Let your hands uncurl, one finger at a time, like a flower closing at night. Let your chest rise and fall without effort. Let your stomach soften. Let your legs become pleasantly heavy. Let your feet relax, as if they no longer need to hold you up. Now, return to the river sound. Shh, shh. Each repetition is permission. Each repetition says, nothing urgent is happening. Nothing needs your attention right now. And if your mind brings up something from the day, you can greet it the way you greet a distant train at night. You hear it. You acknowledge it. Then you let it pass. It doesn't need you to chase it. It will go on without you. Deep time would smile at our urgency, not in a mocking way, in a compassionate way, because the earth has seen so many rushed moments come and go. It has seen storms and calms, fires and rains, migrations and stillness. It has watched forests rise, fall, and rise again in different forms. And it has never asked any one moment to carry the whole burden of meaning. So you don't have to carry the whole burden either. Tonight, you can be small. Small in the comforting way, warm and enough. Small like a single footprint in wet sand. Real and honest. Small like a feather floating down, trusting the air. If you want, imagine the feather again. Watch it fall, slowly, turning once, then twice. It doesn't choose where it lands. It simply lands, and the world receives it. That is what sleep is. A landing, not a collapse, a gentle arrival. Now imagine the stars again, but softer, as if your eyelids are half closed. Some stars disappear. The sky becomes more like a dark fabric than a sharp picture. This is good. This is the mind letting go of detail. The way it lets go of sharp corners when it is ready to rest. Above that sky, imagine time itself, wide, patient, and quiet. Not a clock, not a deadline. A wide ocean that holds everything. In that ocean, The dinosaurs are not frightening. They are simply part of the long, living tapestry. They walked, they rested, they cared for their young, they listened to the weather, they followed food and water, they did what living creatures do. They tried, and they continued, and they changed. And you, in your modern life, are doing something similar. You are trying, you are continuing, you are changing. Even on days when it doesn't feel like progress, you are still moving through your own deep time, your own seasons, your own slow growth. So let this be your gentle reflection tonight. The most beautiful things often arrive in silence. The most lasting changes often happen quietly, and the softest moments are sometimes the ones that keep us alive. If you feel the urge to analyze, let it fade. You don't have to understand the universe to be held by it. You don't have to understand your life completely to deserve rest. You can rest first. Now, imagine the museum lights dimming even further. The footprint becomes a shadow under glass. The amber becomes a low, honey glow. The room becomes a quiet cave of memory. And then, imagine the museum dissolving into your own room until they are the same place, a safe place. A place where time is allowed to be slow. A place where you are allowed to be unfinished and still completely okay. Here, no one rests alone. Every story is a soft lantern in the dark. Even if you never comment, even if you never speak, your listening is a kind of presence. It means you showed up for yourself tonight. That matters. So let the last minutes of this story be like the last minutes of a lullaby, not a performance. A warm fading. Breathe in, slow. Breathe out, long. And feel how the exhale makes space inside you. Now, let the story lower its voice into near silence. Picture the footprint again, now mostly covered. Only a soft outline remains. Moonlight on water trembles once, then stills. Mist thickens. The forest becomes a dark, protective room. And in that vast, timeless silence, even giants once dreamed. If tonight's journey brought you calm, you can leave a gentle comment for yourself, just one word, when you're ready. And if you'd like more peaceful nighttime journeys through science, history, and the sky, don't forget to subscribe to Sleepy Insight channel. Good night, and thank you for resting here with us.